What's up, guys? Welcome to the Peer Review Podcast. My name is Kaleb Davis.
And my name is Brett, and we have some notes. It's good to see everybody. Um, let's check back in real quick. Caleb, how have you been? How was your weekend, man? It's Halloween. I know it's been a little bit since we recorded. How's life treating you?
Things have been pretty well. I'll date us back a little bit. I took a trip down to Ann Arbor for the Michigan versus Michigan State game last weekend. That was pretty exciting. It was my first time in Ann Arbor since I've been in college. Grew up Michigan fan, so I obviously been down there, but it was a different experience being able to hang out and venture around. So that was cool. It was disappointing seeing my team lose, but things happen, and we'll chalk it up about that towards the end of the video. But as far as this weekend, yeah, Halloween. It's been a pretty busy week. Yesterday was Halloween. At the date that we're recording this, so I got to dress up. I was Aladdin. It was very fun. Got to go out with my roommate, hang out with a bunch of friends. So can't really complain. I'm just ready to get the weekend started and some more Halloween festivities. But how about you, man? How have you been? What's been going on? What's new?
I'm good. Since we last recorded, the last weekend when I was supposed to have that flag football game, I was sick and I couldn't play, and I was very sad. But yeah, other than that, I've been good. You know what I'm saying? Just working on like this like long 12-page reflection paper I have to do for like my end of semester thing for one of my classes that I'm in. And then just I was actually on duty on Halloween, sadly. So I was on RA duty. So people got locked out. If people needed any help safety wise or whatever, like during the night, I was on that. But actually, it was pretty quiet. Surprisingly, like it was pretty chill. People were obviously like loud and like doing whatever, like when they were leaving. But like there were no like incidents or anything like that, and like a couple of people got locked out. So it was a good night. I was happy that it wasn't like too crazy hectic or anything. So that was cool. And then tonight I'm going to hang out with some of my friends, and we're going to Chili's and hopefully going to play poker and the game for a little bit, just like some bonding stuff. So that'll be pretty fun
Yeah.
for heads. And excited for the weekend, for the start of the holiday season. They say that as soon as November 1st hits, you know what I'm saying, that you're gonna start hearing Mariah Carey. So that'll be fun.
You got any costumes for Halloween? Like, are you dressing up or nah?
Bro, I didn't even, because I knew I was gonna be on duty like a month ago, so I didn't even bother buying anything, sadly.
Mm-hmm.
But previous years, I've been a Pharaoh, I've been Kylo Ren from Star Wars, I've been Ken from Barbie. So I feel like I've had some pretty cool costumes. I didn't really have I didn't have the creative juices flowing this year, but hopefully I'll get back in my bag next time.
Do you guys like? Because up here in Michigan State, people started dressing up weeks ago, honestly. But people
Mm-hmm.
usually dress up the whole weekend. Is that a big thing down there, or like just Halloween?
No, yeah, I would say a lot of people actually do dress up, just around the entire season for real. But
Oh, okay.
definitely, obviously, the most popular on Halloween. I remember like last week, I saw a whole bunch of grad students that do like a bar crawl together, and they're all wearing like
Mhm.
the banana suit things, and that was
Yeah,
like
that's
really funny.
happening up
Like
here.
I was like, huh, yeah.
I'm thinking about
So
it.
you should do it, bro. It looks like it's fun. So I don't know.
Yeah, free banana suit. But no, today we have a bunch of different topics that we're gonna cover. We're kind of gonna be jumping around the league and giving some of our we'll call it overreactions to the season so far, what we've seen going on. We're going to touch on injuries around the league, and then we're going to end off with the undefeated team. So right now that's Cleveland and OKC. So we'll talk a little bit about them, and then we'll finish with our MVP and DPOY predictions as the season currently stands. Who do we think is in the lead for those awards? And then to round out the show, as a tradition, we're going to finish off with talking about the Michigan versus Michigan State game and kind of what we saw, how both teams looked, and just kind of their projections moving forward. But I'm going to go ahead and kick us off with, we're going to start with Paulo. And I don't know if a lot of you guys have heard, this news is pretty new, but he suffered a torn oblique. I don't know when during the season. I don't know if it was during the game or something. I'm sure it was probably during the game. He suffered it and kind of played through it, and then realized that it was kind of messed up. But he's out indefinitely right now, and it's just very, very unfortunate. He was having a great season. He looked like he was starting to take that leap into superstardom. He was hitting jump shots. He was scoring. He had just had that 50-point game against the Pacers and that comeback victory. Like he was hooping. So it's sad to see him go out. And injuries like this, like I'm not a doctor, but I did my own research and kind of I saw like a 3 to 4 month recovery timeline at the worst. So it's not a season-ending injury, but it's definitely going to set him back a little bit. And we're just wishing him a speedy recovery because, like I said, the Magic were off to a great start. They destroyed my Heat on opening night. They've just been playing really well. KCP looks like a great fit with them. Franz was playing; he was playing decent, but Paulo was really just the standout star. So unfortunate to see, to say the least.
Yeah, no, I agree. Is very unfortunate. And I think you always have the guys that are going to be like the what ifs. So definitely like an overreaction, but we'll see how his career ends up panning out. Looking at it from like a macro lens, but like um, there's a lot of guys in history that have been with us because of injuries or because they were on like smaller market teams, and I'm very hopeful that that will not be the case and he'll return healthy. It isn't like a season-ending injury. I don't think he should.
Yeah,
They're supposed to get reevaluated in like a month and a half. So hopefully, he'll be able to return, and his team will still be able to kind of front the load and at least carry them to like a play-in seed, and then give him a chance in the playoffs. So hopefully, we'll see him back towards the end of the season. But um, yeah, he was one of my sleeper picks to be casually like a top 10 player in the league. So yeah, overall, it's very disappointing to see, and hopefully, we wish him well and that he recovers soon.
yeah, and I didn't get to mention this, but he was averaging 28.5 points per game, and the biggest thing was him was this season was his 3 point shooting. Because you notice that a lot in the playoffs, teams are able to sag off, but he increased. Last season, he shot 33.9% from three, and this season he was at around 39% before he went out. So that was a big, that was a big, I guess it was a good sign to see that he was starting to develop that jump shot. And another thing with him this season is that he is, I feel like he's been capitalizing more on his strength and just understanding like I'm bigger than everyone else. I'm stronger than everyone else. So instead of taking a lot of those tough shots that he was taking, no, he was using, especially like in that Pacers game, he was getting to the rim, just blowing through guys just because he's bigger than them and he's starting to like finally understand that, which is scary for the rest of the league. But I have a question for you, Brett. Do you think that they're gonna tank in the standings without him, or do you kind of think they'll stay afloat? Because let's say he's out for 2 months, like I could see them dropping and ending up, around like 8, 9 in the East. Like I don't think they'd definitely be like in the playing picture without him. But what do you think?
Yeah, I think like as it stands, obviously they're still better than teams like like the Nets or us, the Pistons or whoever. But I think they could definitely struggle playing some of the upper echelon teams. Like you said, like the Celtics and the 76ers and the Cavaliers of the East. Without him, obviously, without their upper echelon star players. So I think like they can stay like middle of the road, hopefully float like 9, 10, 11, somewhere on there. And I think once they get him back in like 2 months, they'll have that strong push that they need to finish the season strong. So I don't think that they'll like completely tank, to like a 14th or 15th seed or something like that. But yeah, they'll probably sit right around like that like mark between the bottom third, like right around there. So, but I think other than that, like, and when he comes back, I think that they'll definitely be fine.
Yeah, I think their defense is still going to be great, but yeah, I don't know how they're going to score because
Yeah.
he was like all their offense. But that's that on that. Moving forward, we kind of wanted to touch a little bit on the Sixers. Paul George and Joel Embiid still haven't played 4 games into the season, and we understood this with Paul George more so because we saw him get hurt. We understood it would take a little bit of time, but Embiid was good. He played in the Olympics, and I'm just not really sure why he's not playing right now. So I'm gonna kick it off to you, Brad. I'm gonna let you start this off. Like, what do you see with the Sixers? Are you worried at all? And just kind of how are you feeling about their situation as it currently stands?
Yeah, honestly, like I brought this up during our top 10, but like you know, he came out actually this article came out an hour ago, and he said he rips that it's BS narrative that he doesn't want to play amid any injury.
Mm-hmm.
So and he thinks that the people the fans of the 76ers are treating him unfairly because of everything he's been through, which is understandable. But at the end of the day, we always say the best ability his availability, and he doesn't want to put himself at risk, which I understand that if he is actually hurt. But at a certain point, it's like, you want to be known as the best player in the league, and you want all these accolades. You want the MVP. You want to go to the playoffs. You want your first ring. It's like sometimes sacrifice has to be made. I'm not saying he needs to push himself beyond what he knows he's capable of, or
Mhm.
because we saw what happened when superstars have done that before. Like when Kobe carried that terrible Lakers team to the playoffs in like 2013 and blew out his Achilles, and he was never the same after that. That was tragic. I wouldn't want something like that to happen to Embiid per se, but it's like it's the beginning of the season. Like you gotta at least help your team get off to like a good start. If you're not, if you are like at any way capable of playing, I think that he should be playing. If that makes sense.
Yeah. No, and my thing that I kind of don't like, one, the Sixers aren't good enough. Like Maxey hasn't been playing like to start the season. I think he'll come around. I'm not really worried about him, but he hasn't been playing that good to start the season. And I think they need one of the two of them out there at all time to be a decent basketball team. Because when it's just Maxey, they don't really have a lot of firepower. Like, yeah, you have Kelly Oubre, yeah, you have Caleb Martin, but those aren't, that's not a ton of offense. And my kind of stripe with Embiid is I understand that he's trying to like load manage himself and avoid injuries, but one, I think it was I don't like when he came out and said I'm not playing back to backs for the rest of my career. Like if you're gonna do that, that's fine. Like who am I to say something? But don't announce it. Like I guess
Yeah,
yeah, it's good for the fans because like hey I'm not gonna if I know he like there's a back to back coming
isn't
and he
gonna play.
didn't play
Like, why
this
would I
game.
buy this ticket?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I get that, but it's also like it's just a bad look to come out and say that at 33 years of age. Like he's not. I think I got his age right. I know he's around 30 something. Yeah, probably. Oh, he's 30. Excuse me. But it's just a bad look, and I kind of think the idea of just sitting out to avoid injury is dumb because like his injury last season, it was a freak injury. Like Jonathan Kaminga fell on his knee, like stuff like that. He could sit out the whole season and come back in his first game and get hurt, and then you just tanked your season for no reason. Like you can't avoid like you don't know when an injury is coming. So like the thing I would say is you should play, and then when you need rest, take rest. Like that's totally
yeah,
fine. But to just sit and like I don't care what the Sixers are saying. Like they're trying to keep him out of games right now. They're trying to load manage him, which
yeah. There's
is
always gonna be a
fine. But
randomness aspect, though.
yeah, and I feel like they're like
Yeah,
insulting everyone's intelligence by trying to say like, oh, that's not what's going on. Like we're not dumb. Like we know we can see what's going on. But that's just my thing. Like, because it would be very, I'm not, knock on wood, I'm not trying to put this out here, but they sit, the Sixers tank and keep losing. He comes back. One, you're going to have to push yourself like crazy to try and win games again because you guys are 1-3 to start the season, which obviously the season just started. It's not that big of a deal, but it's just, I don't know. He could come back and then get hurt right away. And it's like, you did all this for nothing. So that's kind of where I'm at with them. And I'm really, really hoping. Like, I'm a big, big Joel Embiid fan. Paul George is my favorite player. Like, I want to see this team succeed. And I'm hoping this is like his breakout year. But you want to see them in games. It's bad TV product. Seeing no offense to Drummond, but I want to see Joel Embiid. Like, I don't want to see Drummond play 30 minutes a game. Like, that's just
you saw he said he wanted to like retire in Detroit like the other day or something like that.
he did. I didn't see that actually. No.
Yeah, he said he was like, yeah, like, I love Detroit. I still own a house there, and like the city made me who I am today. It was actually kind of endearing. I was like, that's what's up. So my question to you actually, real quick, would you be opposed to him joining our current roster on this like a chill like 1 year like vet minimum deal or something?
Um, I think he could be a good mentor for Jalen Duren. Um, But I think those two, like their skill set is very redundant. Like they do the exact same things, except Duran's just
Hmm.
10 years younger. So like, yes and no, because if we picked him up, we wouldn't have much versatility. Like we'd have no shooting centers. So like on a minimum, I'm not opposed to it, but I don't really see unless we start winning some games. We need like a back. I don't see that happening. I don't really. I'd be okay with it, but it's not. He's not like a needle mover or anything like that. Just be a
That makes
cool
sense for
story.
sure. Yeah.
But moving forward, this Pistons topic kind of ties right back into the Sixers that we mentioned. But the Pistons started the season 0-4, and they just got their first win against the Sixers actually on Wednesday. And it was just cool. It was cool to see the Pistons finally get a win. Tobias Harris had his revenge game like during the crowd. During the game, like Sixers are booing him. He's like egging on the crowd. That was cool to see. I know they booed him like every time he touched the ball. I didn't know the beef was that bad. Like he had a bad. He played bad in the playoffs. He played bad during the season. Yeah, but like he didn't. I didn't think that he warranted like his play warranted that. Like I'd say that for a guy like Ben Simmons, maybe you should boo him like that. Harden, not at Tobias, but hey, what do I know? But
Philly fans, man.
yeah, they're cutthroat. But back onto the Pistons front, I think we're it's a new team. We've definitely added shooting. Guys have improved, but a lot of the issues that we faced last season, like not being able to close games, not like going through stretches where we just don't give a damn, like we just stop playing defense, turning over the ball, not getting back. That stuff is still very apparent. But I think it's helped having like vets like Tobias Harris. I think he brings a lot, even though like he hasn't played as well this season. I still think he's a good leader and a good locker room guy for the team because we didn't have a lot of vets last season. And then guys like Tim Hardaway, like he's a sporadic shooter, but he's still like we needed veterans on this team because we had a lot of young guys, and I believe you need that veteran mentorship to kind of help steer them in the right direction.
Mhm.
But Tobias Harris, he's definitely underperforming his contract. Like he's on a $26 million a year deal, and he's only averaging around 10 points. Not shooting super well from the field, shooting terrible from three. And it's just you expect a little bit more out of him. But our bright spots right now are Cade and Jaden. Cade, I think, is going to be an All Star this year. He's been a floor general. He's been great. He's been averaging 25.6 points, 5.6 rebounds, 7.4 assists, and a steal and 1.2 blocks. So he's just been doing it all. And then the biggest thing that I've noticed with Ivy this year, and shout out to uh, JB Bickerstaff for actually playing him because Monty Williams, like, I don't know what he was doing when he was running the Pistons, but would never play the guy and kind of hinder his growth. But Ivy's out there. He's averaging, I believe, like 21, 22 a game. But the biggest thing for him, he's been a lot more under control. His shot selection is just a lot better. His shot just looks better. Like his form, it's a little quicker. And then he's just shooting a lot better from three. Like the big thing with the Pistons was we didn't have a lot of shooting, but him and Kate are both shooting above 40% from three right now. Jaden is at 42.9%. And it's just our offense looks a little bit more coherent. So that's all I really have on the Pistons. Though I'll hand it over. What have you seen? What have you noticed? And how did you feel about that win against the Sixers?
Yeah, I thought they played great. Traditionally, like you said, the Monty Williams Pistons, and even before that, just have trouble closing out games. We ran into those issues obviously during the first like 4 games of the season, but it was nice to see. I mean, obviously they don't have their star players as we have mentioned before, but it's like we couldn't even beat like any teams last year. We're like the worst team in the league. So
The games
I
are
think
always
that
close, though. I will say that.
yeah, they are always close. They're always competitive. So I really think that like last year, a lot of the losses fell on coaching because I feel like when you can't close the game out, it's due to like a lack of like strategy and like game planning and like the key moments of like the last stretch of the game. Like who's in your set, like what offensive game plan are you running, like what I'm saying, like what lineups are you choosing to run against, what the other team is doing. I feel like a lot of that comes in on a strategy, and Monty Williams was just like really checked out overall last season. So I think JB Bickerstaff so far has done, like you said, a better job like the lineups, actually playing Jaden Ivey and letting him develop. And like you said, it's been great this year, so that's cool. I would say the one thing that Cade has to limit to though is the turnover issue. I think that he's been turning the ball over like yes, he has the ball in his hands. He like the majority of the game, you expect him to have a lot of turnovers, but like he's consistently like at the like top of the list for like the most turnovers. You know, so I think like once he dials that back a little bit, I think he can be a lot more effective. And just overall, honestly, I really wish that we could pick up like a vet, like true point guard. I don't know who exactly that would be or who would want to come here, or if any of those guys that still play like that are really even like left in the league, like a Rondo or a Chris Paul. But I think like if we had one of those guys playing alongside Cade, I think that would like help a lot with him not having to be the decision maker for every single time going up the floor and just letting him like being able to score. So yeah, it's been good for the most part, and like yeah, like you said, Tobias Harris hasn't really been playing that well, but I think he's still like a good addition to the team, and hopefully he picks it up as the season goes along. It's still pretty early, so I'm not totally out on him yet. I think the jury's still out of whether or not he's going to pick it up. And yeah, I think overall I'm excited for the JB Bickerstaff regime. And I mean, honestly, bro, if we can win like 25, 30 games this year, I'll be happy with that. I think it's still a significant improvement over last year. Um, and then and then beyond that, hopefully like the year after we'll start winning like 40, 45 games. But we will see. I don't expect too much in like year one of a rebuild after being the worst team in the league. So
I kind of was hoping they'd be a play-in team this year, like at the
you
bottom
think so?
tier, in that 10, 11, 12 range. Because in the East, like the East isn't that good. Like
That's
if they're
true.
in the West, no, they wouldn't be anything. They'd be bottom of the West. But like I don't know. I just had faith.
Yeah,
And one guy,
we could play better. You're right.
yeah, I see the season turning around. Hopefully a bit more. Going a couple win streaks. But one guy I didn't get to mention who has not been playing well like at all to start the season is Jalen Duren. Um, he fouled out of that game against the Sixers in 10 minutes. Like that's insane. Like you weren't even going against Embiid.
Oh
You were
my
going against
god.
Drummond. Like how do you? I don't know. But he just has not been playing well. He's been efficient like with the shots he's taken, but like he's averaging like 4 field goal attempts a game, which what is that about? Um, the thing with him that kind of bothers me is like he's big, he's athletic, like he's like built like a young Dwight Howard, but he is a really really bad defender. Like he has all the tools, but he fouls too much. Like he just can't guard. Like he's bad at it, and it's not. I don't think it's his skill set. I literally just think it's like I don't want to say it's mental, but he just doesn't play defense. He's bad at defense, and
Do you think it's coaching? Like, do you think they're not getting him in the right positions that he needs to be in, or like telling him how to like correct himself?
like maybe it's a mix, but I also just think it's his like feel and his understanding for like how to play defense. Like I don't know what exactly. I can't quite put my finger on it, but to be as big as he is and to be as agile and mobile as he is, and he's a bad defender. Like, and there's no other way to put it. So he definitely has to improve on both ends. I kind of hoped like eventually he'd take a leap as maybe being able to stretch. You know how Bam kind of evolved his game. Like he started shooting
Mhm.
middies and now he's shooting threes. But I kind of hoped Duran would make it to that point. And it's still early in the season. He has time, but that's kind of some things that I'm looking at with him because we need
Yeah,
him to pick it up if we want to start winning more games.
I'm not sure if he was just checked out last year because we were so bad, but I remember like going to a game and like he never like sprinted. Like I feel like he like never ran full speed like ever. Like he would just kind of like walk around the rim. Like he would set a screen and then he would kind of like lightly jog to the rim for like a roll, and then he would just kind of like stand in like the low block, and then like he was like like he just didn't seem very involved in the offense. I haven't had a chance to like really key in on like what he's been doing like on like a micro level like that this season yet,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm curious to see if he's still having any of those like effort issues because that could also be a factor too.
Something to look at as the season moves forward. But for our next topic, we're gonna start with our MVP and DPOY as the season currently stands. Like if you had to pick the MVP or the Defensive Player of the Year right now, I'm gonna start with this with you, Brett. But who would you pick for both awards and kind of why?
Yeah, for me, I think my DPOY is Anthony Davis, and my MVP is Luca. And I said my case for Anthony Davis is like, bro has just been like a monster, like low key, like on both ends, bro. Like he is by far and away, and like as it stands currently right now, the best player on the team. I think LeBron obviously is still like a close second, but like, bro, like he's been like insane efficient. He's shooting threes now too, which is cool. He's more confident in his shot. Like he has that pull up midi in his bag now too, and using his size to get off fadeaways, etc. Like, and he's blocking like 2-3 shots a game right now. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's like insane if he can keep that up throughout the rest of the season. So, and yeah, like he's always been a great defender, but I feel like now that he's like fully healthy, I think you're seeing a lot of like effort and fire back through the team in general because of like JJ Redick. I know I know earlier I was saying I wasn't sure if he was going to be a great coach or if he would be the right fit for the Lakers when we were talking about that a couple months ago. But it seems like he's doing great so far. The players love him. Another video came out at practice of him doing the one-on-one post drill against Jackson Hayes, and he made him miss a shot. And it just looks like the team's having a lot of fun. I think, um, with like you said, with his IQ and strategy mindset, while also being able to have fun and get the team morale up. I think that's a great combination of guys that are prepared and know how to win, and also are ready to win. So I think I'm excited to see what the Lakers can do this season with AD playing the way that he is and leading the charge on the defensive end. And then for as far as MVP for Luca, you know what I'm saying? I mean, like by far, like he's. I feel like he's just the best player in the league. You know what I'm saying? Like the defensive gravity that he draws for Clay and Kyrie, being able to do what they do, the efficiency that he has while still taking the amount of shots he does per game. He's been, I'll say, at least against the Jazz, he's a little inefficient. He's like 5 for 22. That was a rough night. But again, I think what matters most is like the product that you put out, and like the end result, and the like you said, sometimes he's not gonna make every shot because he attracts so much attention from the defense because he's so skilled. But I think um, he's my favorite. Him or Jalen Brunson are my favorite to, if I had to pick right now, to win the MVP, in my opinion.
Just real quick, I think Clay has looked great with the Mavs.
Agreed.
But for my MVP and DPOY picks, as it currently stands, I'm gonna start with Defensive Player of the Year. I think Chet is far, and I don't want to say levels ahead of everyone else, but like after that game against the Cavs, AD kind of, I don't know, it was a very, very rough game. Like Jared Allen destroyed him, took his lunch money, but that's okay. You can have bad games. But right now, if I had to plead a case for him, he's averaging 3.5 blocks on the season and 1.5 steals. So that's 5 stocks a game. And stocks, for those of you who don't know, is steals plus blocks. Um, but one of the big outliers for me, for him, is how he went up against the Joker in the season opener. Like he completely outplayed him on both ends, and that's just that's a hard thing to do, especially with like a guy like Chet. People talk about his size and like his frame. Like he's skinny, he doesn't weigh a lot. But I feel like he's been really good at like using his body, using his length, and using his speed. Because that's the biggest thing with him. His advantage over a lot of centers. He's quicker than them, because he weighs a lot less. Like he can move. He's more agile. Um, and then he had a 6 block game against the Hawks earlier this season, and I just think he's been anchoring their defense, and he's been doing a great job. And yes, he has a lot of talent around him. Like I think everyone in the Thunder's starting lineup right now is like a plus defender. Like they're all really good defenders, which is crazy to think about. Like even like a guy like Shea, like their best player is a really really good defender. So that's scary to think about moving forward into the postseason. But yeah, if he plays like this for the rest of the season, I think he's gonna win the award. I don't think he's gonna continue averaging 3.5 blocks. Probably go down to closer to like 2.5, maybe around that range. But if he does, that's insane, and he's definitely gonna get some consideration. And I think he'll end up winning the award if like this play continues. And then for my MVP, right now I'm at a toss up between Shea and, this hurts to say, but Tatum. So I'm gonna kind of talk about both of them and who I kind of, and at the end I'll kind of say who I will kind of go with. But for Shea's case, the Thunder are undefeated. He's playing alongside Chet, like they've looked great together. But Shea's averaging 26 points, 7.5 rebounds, 6 assists, 2.5 steals, and 1.5 blocks. So he's also just been a monster on the defensive end. He's looked great. The Thunder have looked great, and he was my pick to win MVP to start this season, just for the record. So great to see. And then on Tatum's front, he's averaging 30.2 points, 7 rebounds, 5.2 assists, 2 steals, and he's shooting very effectively from the field. But the thing that I've noticed about him this season, like his averages are up right now. Yeah, it's early in the season, but his usage rate is basically the same as last season. So it's not like he's getting more touches or anything. He's just being more efficient. Very slightly, but he's just looked a lot better. His jump shots looked amazing. He's looked very confident. And the Celtics won lost this season because they were an undefeated team up until was it last night, I believe. They lost to the Pacers. I believe it was a loss, but it was a close game. Like I think they lost by 3 points. So nothing to be mad at. You win some, you lose some. But the Celtics have looked great. Tatum has looked great, and I'm a little worried in the East, because as it currently stands, I don't see anyone beating them. But obviously, this is an overreaction. It's early in the season. That is what this is for. Uh, but for our last basketball topic, before we kind of cover the Michigan versus Michigan State game, we just kind of wanted to take a moment to highlight the two undefeated teams in the league. I can start us off real quickly. Like I just talked about the Thunder guys, so I won't go too much on OKC, but they've looked great. They have depth. They're shooting, like they're all shooting well. They're defending really well, and they look like the favorites in the West right now. And you got to think they don't even have Hartenstein back right now. So right now they're playing without a backup center. So Chet's doing this all by himself. So that puts more pressure on him when he gets in foul trouble, which he hasn't thus far this season, or when he, if he gets hurt, things like that. Like it just puts a lot more pressure on him. And so I'm excited to see when you get Hartenstein back, and then you can have some looks with Chet at the four. They're going to be so versatile. They're going to be able to match up with any team, play any style, and they have a top. I think Shea, what would you consider him? At least top five in the league. So hey, look out for the Thunder. And then on the Cavs front, Donovan Mitchell, I just watched him torch the Lakers on Wednesday. That was disappointing to watch, but he's looked great. Evan Mobley's looked great. Jared Allen's look good. Darius Garland's look good. Like they're playing a lot faster, and like they had some issues in the postseason, and then there was rumblings about trading either of the guards during the offseason, but that didn't happen. They look happy, and guys look like they enjoy playing with each other. So I don't think they're gonna stay undefeated. And I don't see the Cavs being at the top of the East. Like I'm still not super worried about them, but if they continue playing like this, they have a shot. I mean, hey.
Agreed. Honestly, it's been very interesting to see Jared Allen's like how efficient he is. Like he literally had like a game where he was 10 for 10 against the Wizards. I think that's like insane. I mean, yeah, I know it's probably off of like all ducks, but still, like to not miss like a singular shot over the course like entire game, play like 25-30 minutes, very impressive. And I think that he's quietly obviously one of the the best defending centers in the league. Real humble guy, pretty cool. And then like you said, Evan Mobley is one of the best defenders in the league too. Pairing that with two dangerous scoring guards, it makes sense as to why they're on the run they are right now, and to see if they can keep it up.
Um, to kind of round off the show, we're gonna head into the Michigan versus Michigan State game. So this was taking place. It took place at Michigan was at home. And they got the dub. The score ended up being 24-17. MSU fell to 4-4, and Michigan goes up to 5-3. So Brett, let me hear it. What did you think?
You know what I'm saying? I was happy. Go blue. I can't ask for too much, especially with the way things have been going this season. Honestly, I will say some of my highlights from the game. I thought Aiden Childs on MSU did a good job extending plays and getting away from our pass rush, which is a strength of our team is our defensive line. With guys like Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant, and Josiah Stewart. He did get a sack fumble on Josiah Stewart got a sack fumble on Aiden Charles, which I think was a pivotal turning point in the game. At one point, and I think that as a sophomore QB, you just gotta be more aware. You gotta work into your awareness, and you can't. It seemed like he was slowing down to try to set his feet to throw,
Mm-hmm.
and not being aware of the situation, and not obviously not holding the ball onto the you don't want to death grip the ball or anything like that, but like you gotta at least tuck it when you're getting tackled. You know what I'm saying? So those are things that I'm sure that hopefully they address over the course of the past week. But it was interesting, honestly, that to me that like I think the biggest takeaway from this game for Michigan fans, at least, is that Davis Warren actually looked like a serviceable QB. I will say, I think I was a little bit harsh on him during the beginning after the Arkansas State game, or whichever game it was where he threw like 2 or 3 interceptions. I think honestly, the guy had only started like 9 games in high school before he was diagnosed with leukemia. Fought through that. It's a great story too if any of you are familiar. And I think that he just needed experience, and that was like I think after he got benched and saw what and like was able to kind of take time to reflect on what he could do better the next time. You saw he came out, he threw for a touchdown. He was 13 for 19, above 55%. So I think like like I mean, it wasn't like a generational game or anything, but it was good, and I think
Solid.
that for this, yeah, it was solid, and and for the standard of Michigan football of just not turning the ball over and being smart and managing the game correctly, I think that he did a good job of staying level headed and keeping his team in the game, and he threw a really pretty ball, a touchdown pass to Colston Loveland. So I think he has the skills to at least lead us to a bowl game victory, hopefully at the end of the season. That is what I'm looking forward to because I think no matter what happens, we should at least beat Northwestern. And Orji had some great runs as well. He came in as a wrinkle a couple times with the QB draw. I will say that I think our running game struggled a lot, and I think having him come in because when you got the QB that's getting the direct snap, basically like a wildcat formation, it's like and he can run. He has 10 blockers. When Mullins was trying to run, he didn't have a very good game. Donovan Edwards also kind of struggled outside of that cool trick play touchdown pass. But as far as the offensive line struggled a lot run blocking, I think, but having the extra 10 guys blocking for you instead of 9, because traditionally the QB isn't going to block for the running back and turn the ball off. Having those 10 blockers really helped, I think, push the ball down the field, especially when we needed to secure the first downs at the end of the game, and those were key in order to get the victory there. After we had after the last score, I thought, what's his name, Marsh, your guys' wide receiver.
Nick
I thought
Marsh.
he was really good. Yeah, Nick Marsh.
Mm-hmm.
He's very very talented. He's for sure burning our corners. And the running game looked really good in the first quarter too with the what's his name, Carter. I thought he looked really good. But I think they really just kind of had struggled to have the depth to, I think, go the distance with Michigan into like all 4 quarters. I feel like there were times where they just kind of struggled getting pressure on our QB because of like the defensive line depth and the rotations there. So all in all, though, I think both teams aren't necessarily we're not world beaters, but I think it was cool to see Michigan edge it out and make crucial plays when they needed to. I think it was a good sign for the regime because I know a lot of people were like saying Sherwood Moore needs to be fired after this year. Like he's so bad. Like this is the worst year Michigan football I've ever seen in my life. People have to remember we lost 18 players to the draft. Harbaugh took literally every single coach. Our strength and conditioning coach is gone. Our old defensive coordinator is gone. Like literally everybody. He had to find. He had an empty cabinet to work with, and he has to go out and find all new recruits, find new assistant coaches. And yes, did he miss on not finding an outside offensive coordinator? Probably, but it's like who else was really available besides rehiring inside the program, especially when the season was already about to start. So I say the jury is still out on the Sherwood Moore regime, in my opinion. I think he deserves at least another year to see if he can improve. Once he gets some of his own guys in here and some of the 4 and 5 star recruits we have coming, hopefully next season, see how Jaden Davis plays at QB next year. So, with that being said, I think it was a success for Michigan, and I'm happy with the outcome of the game.
Yeah, I kind of we had a lot of the same takeaways. I would say I thought he looked really good in this game outside of that fumble. He was 17 for 23 on throws, and he had 189 passing yards. So like, very very solid game for him. But the biggest thing for us was we could not capitalize in the red zone. We had so many times where we got downfield and we were within 10 yards. We were right there, and we couldn't capitalize. And the thing that kind of I started feeling some type of way when our kicker, Jonathan Kim, when I think his Jonathan Kim, when he missed that like 26-yard field goal. Like I was like,
Yeah, that was
dog, like
crazy. Yeah, I was like,
that was a gut punch, man. We were all in I think we were in Rick's or Skeeps. I don't know, but everybody's watching the TV. We're thinking, oh, we're about to take the lead, like we're about to score first points on the board, and he missed it, and that kind of set the tone for the rest of the game. I feel like,
mm-hmm.
and I, mean, I don't really have words for like the stadium
Yeah.
pulse is just going crazy. I don't
When
know.
you're on the road, that can be demoralizing for you too. I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and it definitely it was a momentum blow, and there was a couple things that I kind of wanted to touch on though from the game. So the biggest thing was not even the biggest thing. I'll start with the fumble going into halftime. Like you touched on this a lot during your synopsis, but like Aiden has to be more aware, especially going into halftime. Like I thought that was the key moment like in the game because we fumble the ball and then we give up. I think we gave you guys like it was like I don't know if it was a run or a pass, but gave you guys like a 20-yard. I think it was a pass, like a 20-yard. You guys threw the ball upfield. You got upfield, and then you got in field goal range. So we fumble, we give you guys a field goal going into halftime, and then you guys come out with the ball and then score right away. Like that's just a recipe for
Yeah, that's like
disaster.
a 10-point swing right there, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, it was. I think it was. What was it? I think it was Nate Carter. Who I don't know, but
Hmm.
it was unfortunate, and very disappointing as a fan. Like to see all that transpire within that, like especially that fumble though. Like you said, he has to be more aware in that situation. Like you got a guy tracking you, and I see what you mean. Like how he started to slow down, to get ready to throw the ball, but you got to know that guy's there. You got to understand what's going on. You got to understand the time, the situation. This is a major game.
Yeah, he would have been better
And
off just throwing it away.
yeah, it just was.
Yeah.
It was like everything that could have went wrong after that missed field goal. So not to put like all the pressure on him, like it happens, but it's very very unfortunate. Um, but back to the we couldn't capitalize on the red zone drives. Like that was the thing. We'd be there and we couldn't score. But you didn't. We had and then for the last my last little takeaway before I talk about the fight a little bit, because that
Oh
was
God.
uh, there was that blown coverage for that final touchdown, like the toss outside, and then he threw the go route. It
Mhm.
was I think it was Malik Spencer's like guarding like as the safety over there, but you have to be prepared. Like he wasn't playing back, he wasn't playing far enough. Like you have to be guarding the deep. Like no one was back there. It was wide open. It was a blown coverage. Like he has to be out there. Like I don't know. I was just disappointed, man, especially to lose to you guys.
I will say
Andy Armour.
I feel like Colston Loveland sold the block so good that he thought Donovan Edwards was gonna run. So I don't know. I don't know if that's like anything like instinctually, like yeah, we have ran that play before, but it's been like 3 years, so like he probably wasn't even like they probably didn't tell him to look out for that in film. They're like, all right, yeah, like Donovan, he get the screen, like make sure you get up there, blow him up, whatever. So that's probably what he's thinking in his head. So I don't know, man. I feel like sometimes like you just get out coached in those moments, and I think that was a good play call.
It was.
And
No,
I don't
I'm
know if it's
not.
anything on him as like a talent thing. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know if that's like a talent thing that he can just be like, oh, like let me
I
just
think I was
know
just
to that
frustrated.
guy's
I'm not
supposed to
gonna
be
lie.
there.
When I wrote that down in the notes, I was just frustrated. Like yeah, I had money on
That's
the
valid
game
though.
too. So like it was just all bad, man. But just real quick, like the fight, like it was entertaining. Like I don't know, whatever stuff. I feel like we always Michigan State. There's always a fight. Like at every since I've been in college, at every
Yeah,
single
every year
game,
since we've been in college, bro. Like the tunnel
literally.
thing, and then the
I don't know. It's just funny. I think I don't remember.
Bro,
I
you
think
saw?
Anthony
Did you see
Jones.
Colson Loveland's post game interview?
No, I didn't actually.
He was he was like because they asked him about it. He's like, yeah, like we saw like whatever, I forgot what number it was. Like he got up in your face and like what do you think about what do you think about that? Like what do you think about like the situation, whatever? He was like, yeah, little bro stay doing little bro things. They it was kind of funny, but he was like, yeah, but I just keep it pushing, man. He's like, if they want to get busy, we'll get busy. It was looking crazy, like non PR answer, but I think it was
Yeah,
funny. And that's how rivalries usually get. I think people forget about those things. So it was entertaining to say the least, and it looked like they were having fun. So, granted, at the expense of Michigan State, sadly, but it was like you said, it was an entertaining product that they put on the field
I
that
just
day.
want to say though, if a few things go our way in there, like that's probably a blowout. Like MSU probably wins by a touchdown, like at least like two touchdowns. If everything didn't go wrong, and I'm sore loser here, but that's the perspective I'm gonna take.
I
Like
hear you, bro.
everything
I hear
went
you
wrong. Wait, what'd you say?
for sure. No, I said I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna take away from the game. But that's really all we have for today, guys. Glad to be back recording. But yeah, I'll kind of hand it back off to you, Brett. Take us home, and let's enjoy the weekend.
Yeah, thank you all again for tuning into the peer review podcast today. We hope you had a safe and fun Halloween. Looking forward to recording more episodes going into the month of November and the holiday season. And yeah,
Yeah, please make sure to share the podcast with your friends and family, as well as follow us on X at peerreview_pod and on TikTok at peer review podcast to stay up to date with our latest episodes and releases.
and again, we also personally monitor all of our accounts. We love to hear your feedback. Thank you for all the people that have commented on our videos so far and left us likes and messages. We really appreciate all of the love and support. But let us know, like, do you agree? Do you disagree? How do you feel about the rivalry? What are your thoughts on the state of the NBA? 76ers, the Pistons, whoever you're a fan of, let us know. And thank you all again. This is the peer review signing off.